I guess this should be labeled under better late than never, but on this day in 2013, Mississippi has officially ratified the 13th Amendment and finally abolished slavery. If I seem less than enthused, it's mainly due to the fact that it's 2013 and you only now have abolished slavery, as it were, by ratifying the 13th Amendment. I mean, what could I possibly say to follow that up? How could I don't even feel like lampooning this in any way, shape, or form would do this any sort of justice of any type. I mean, this, and then and then people wonder why the friggin' video series on History Channel, The South, didn't quite last so long. When I have to hear Jeff Foxworthy talk about how Southerners are much more humble than Northern people, we're much more polite and considerate than Northern people. Yeah, except for in Mississippi, where technically you could, on some levels, decide to, own people. Yeah, but no, aside from that, Southerners are better than Northerners in almost every other way because they're Southern. Now, I'm not trying to crap on Southerners, let's be honest with you, without giving too much away. I'm surrounded by Southerners. And of course, I do know some who are wonderful people. Are they better than the people I've met in the North, though? No. Some of them, in fact, are from the North and are part of what has made where I'm at that much better in terms of a lot of the things that are there. But I'm not trying to sit here and say this, but I'm like, if you're going to make a claim like that, Jeff Foxworthy and the History Channel, you kind of got to back it up. And when you're just now in 2013 ratifying the 13th Amendment and deciding, yeah, okay, we'll abolish slavery, there's something wrong there. There's a huge disconnect. And yeah, I get it. There's still a lot of deep-rooted racism in the South. It's not stereotyping. It's what I hear from so many people who have Southern relatives at times. At times. But it's not. It's getting closer to being the exception, not the rule. But we still have people who are having problems with integrated proms. We still have people who are having issues, and it's spilling over, of course, into the gays. But I mean, there are people who are still calling the president a monkey, or or an N-word. Which I hate to censor that, but again, I've got to be considerate of my channel here if I want to continue to try to fight some of the good fights. I just don't understand people sometimes. I don't understand how in some places progress can march so slow. Now, don't give me those sub-Saharan African tribes who still exist in their ways and all this other stuff. I don't see that as big of a problem as people who are in the more modern, who are in these times and are still on some level fighting some sort of subterfuged civil war against the North and the darkies or whatever you want to call them. I just find it absurd that it's this late in the game and finally Mississippi has decided to let go of its right to own people as property, not as people, or as 3/5 of a person. But should I be surprised? We've got people drafting bills that literally have the word anti-science in them, thinking that this is an acceptable practice, as if the schools and churches cannot live simultaneously. The kids can't learn how rocks form instead of, and still maybe believe on some level that God just waved his magic wand or his hand or whatever and rocks were formed, you know. Because as I said to the person who was very upset, the user who was very upset that they're going to start teaching homosexuals' contributions throughout history in California schools, not national schools, just California schools. I said, you have scholastic and academic places where you can send your son where the word homosexual will not even enter into the vernacular unless it is to condemn it. You have religious schools. I do not have, and even in the public schools, I don't often have the option of having an atheist school. I don't have the option of my beliefs, my ideals being considered. And you have everything to consider your belief systems and your belief structure. And yet, no, in 2013, you want to be offended because some public schools or all the public schools that are not religious public schools will be teaching that maybe homosexuals aren't the worst thing in the world to happen to the world. You know, but take it as it is. As I said, better late than never, but the fact that it took this long is utterly ridiculous and absurd.